Hey everybody, Mike Griffith here. Welcome to the YouTube version of our Ingles on the Beat segment. I hope everybody is having a great Tuesday. Certainly been a very busy one here in Athens, where this morning Kirby Smart held his teleconference. We hadn't heard from Kirby really since National Signing Day back in February. Kirby had a lot to say. Kirby not trying to be the expert on coronavirus, but obviously he is the expert on Georgia football and how the Georgia Bulldogs are dealing with the coronavirus and the standstill that the sports world and otherwise has come to as a result of this horrible pandemic that we're all dealing with. So first of all, I want to thank Ingles for this opportunity to come to you live today on this YouTube channel. If you've got some questions or comments, feel free to throw them up there. From a news standpoint, thought it was interesting that Kirby Smart talked about doing the Zoom video conferences with his players. The SEC allowed that as of last Friday. They said that, hey, starting Monday at 1 o'clock, you can have 2 hours of chalk talk a week. Kirby said they're going to throw as much as they can at these players in that 2-hour window. The key is how much can your players digest from that? You can put all you want out there, but if they're not learning, it's going to make it really hard. They're trying to do things through virtual reality with the practices, trying to encourage the guys to work out on their own. Thought it was very important. Kirby Smart said his number one priority was taking care of his players and making sure their families were all right. When we said, hey, what's the most important thing? That's where it started for him. And it's kind of a reminder that these football coaches, play that role. Still, virtual reality is one thing, but reps are another. And you may have saw today in the story, Kirby said there's no substitute for the reps out on the field. We can't argue that we're not going to lose reps. If you had to say who does this affect the most, it's going to affect the quarterback more than anything, in my opinion. We've got a story up on Dog Nation explaining, flushing that out as we asked him to talk more about Jamie Newman. You all know Jamie Newman is the favorite to win the job. There's going to be competition. Carson Beck, Juan Mathis, Stetson Bennett, going to be competition there at that position. But Jamie Newman has looked good early. And here's what Kirby Smart said about Jamie Newman. I feel like he was starting to get some rhythm. He got to throw a lot with those guys in their own time, the time that they elected. He and Stetson and Carson and Juan would all go out there and throw with the wideouts. Now, that was in the voluntary workout time. Kirby had the players there for off-season conditioning. They work out under Scott Sinclair. And then the players took it upon themselves to go out and throw. And as Kirby said, Jamie Newman throwing with some rhythm to those Georgia receivers. That's the first time we've heard that or seen that. Kirby said a lot of people aren't aware that these coaching staffs are allowed to go through some walkthroughs with their players during the offseason. And then it's up to the players to meet, with one another and work out on their own. So that was happening at Georgia. So it's not like it's going to be the first time Jamie Newman has ever thrown a pass to the Georgia receiving corps when the action does resume. And again, we don't know when that'll be. The fact that he has thrown with these guys already, the fact that there is some acquaintance with the offense. Todd Monken is the quarterback's coach. These coaches now, they are allowed to call and check on their players, not check up on them, but have conversations with them, say, hey, are you okay? Monken's done that, and now you get this 2 hours a week chalk talk. It really helps that Newman has played 4 years at the FBS level. It gives him a big advantage, having seen the speed of the game, being physical, knowing what it's going to take at 6'4", 230. That's not to say Carson Beck can't compete or DeJuan Mathis, certainly not Stetson Bennett, but big advantage there for Jamie Newman. So I thought that was a revelation. Also thought very interesting, and I did the story today, followed up on this because the Kirby Smart, Scott Cochran, Nick Saban triangle, I'm not going to call it love triangle, but that triangle drew a lot of interest. When Kirby hires a guy away from Nick, it's going to create waves. Even more so when there's reports out there that Nick Saban was being very harsh with Scott Cochran, calling him out mercilessly, and from his staff members. As Cochran wanted to become a position coach, Nick Saban would not give him that opportunity. Kirby Smart did. Kirby elaborated on that more today. We have that story up on Dog Nation as well. You'll want to check that out. A lot of interesting background, I thought, from Kirby Smart on why Scott Cochran was hired at Georgia to a position that Nick Saban would not hire him for at Alabama, even after all of those years. So I thought that was very interesting. If you have any questions or comment, feel free to post them. I'll take a look here. I'm on our Dog Nation YouTube channel now. Hopefully I'll get an opportunity to be able to see your questions. Indeed, that has come up. Appreciate Michael Carvel and his production making that happen. It takes a lot to put this deal on. I see Hunter Davis on there and Brandon Alvin. Hey, there's Michael Porter. How's it going? Thanks, guys, for being there. Look at Byron Dean Butler with the woof, woof, woof. Everybody is getting fired up. And, man, it makes me so eager for this season to start. And I do believe it will start at some point. I don't know when. I think we'll see a modified season of sorts. I did a Facebook show earlier. You can kind of check that out on the Facebook page. If you go to the Dog Nation Facebook page, we talked a little bit more about that in the first production of the day. I wanted to follow up for our YouTube audience. Thank you, Byron Butler. I appreciate it, man. Listen, positive words and compliments. I'll take all I can get. It's a tough time right now for all of us. Working from home is a little bit different. Certainly not being able to be around the football players and the football coaches firsthand, having to do so much over the telephone changes my job. But I want you to know it doesn't change my mission. I'm still going to try and tell you everything that I think you need to know, what I know you want to know. But I got to be honest, I'm going to tell you what I think. When I tell you it's an opinion, it's going to be my opinion. It's very important that I represent it that way. Not everybody's going to agree. Some people don't agree with my thoughts that DeAndre Swift is a better open field runner than Lynn Bowden, for example. I heard from Kentucky fans. I never thought I would see the day that Kentucky fans would be talking smack about football, but that day has arrived. Kudos to you, Kentucky, that your fans are that loyal and that confident. That tells me you're doing something right. But if you think you're going to beat Kirby Smart at Georgia, you are wrong. I am on record as saying Kentucky will not beat Georgia as long as Kirby Smart's the head coach. I don't think that's a big prediction. Kirby Smart, last time I checked, Georgia's won 10 in a row against Kentucky. I see Huck Finn is predicting the Gators will win the SEC East. What does Tom Sawyer say about that? Today's Tom Sawyer, he gets high on you, Huck Finn, and this point of view, because I can't see that happening. Georgia, the defense is so good, and they limited Kyle Trask, who I thought did a very good job, better than Felipe Franks, by the way. But I thought that they did a very good job shutting Florida out of the end zone for 3 quarters. I'm not sure why you would think that Florida would have a better chance to score this year. Now, the Georgia offense, do I think it's going to be as good as last year? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I think a lot of Jake Fromm. I think Jake was 12 of 18 converting third downs in that game. I think DeAndre Swift is dynamic. I don't think Georgia has a back right now that's going to do what DeAndre did last year. Now, I'm not saying that Zamir White or Kenny McIntosh or James Cook can't grow into that, and I'm not saying that the backfield might not be better collectively, but I don't see a go-to guy like Swift. Jake did so much pre-snap read. I thought he did a great job processing in that game. Obviously, Lawrence Cager, 7 catches, 132 yards. George Pickens is back. There's a lot of talented newcomers, but the Georgia offensive success is going to be predicated on how well Jamie Newman's able to run this RPO and pick up this pro-style system from Todd Monken. So, in short, I have more faith in the Georgia defense than I do in Florida's ability to overcome them and score enough points to win that game. So that's why I think Georgia is going to beat Florida again, because of their defense. Danny Cannell's picking the Gators. Take the Bulldogs. He is wise. I like Danny Cannell. I like that Danny gives opinions. I thought he was a very good quarterback at Florida State. But as somebody who's here every day and follows Georgia closely and follows the SEC closely, I've got to see it. I've seen Georgia dominate Florida the last 3 years. And, Florida loses, I believe, they lost their running back. I think they lost some talent in their secondary. And I know Georgia has some losses on offense too, but at the end of the day, the Georgia defense is the difference maker. I appreciate Huck Finn coming in here. Sometimes people are afraid to disagree. Don't be afraid to disagree. If you root for another team, throw it in there. There's a way to disagree and disagree, right? And this is a respectful way, man. The guy likes his Gators. Good for you. That's what it's all about. There's Georgia fans probably going on an Alabama board and say September 19th, Kirby's going to serve it up. I believe he will. I believe Georgia will beat Alabama on September 19th because of that defense. The defense. One more thing I want to make sure I cover, a very important thing, and Huck Finn might have something to say about this too, and all Florida fans. Georgia was ranked number 2 in the preseason, they were ranked number 2 when the baseball season came to a stop. March 12th is when the NCAA canceled the rest of the NCAA basketball tournament and said there would be a cutoff and no more spring sports championships. Georgia baseball was 14-4, ranked number 2, and they were about to go down to Gainesville, I think, to start the season against Florida. But now that the NCAA Division I Council has ruled that, yes, all spring sports athletes will have an extra year of eligibility, that's going to bring back a couple of really key guys for the Georgia baseball team. Chief among them, Cam Shepard, outstanding shortstop. Georgia could be loaded for bear and maybe even get back to Omaha and the College World Series next year. Obviously, Florida also a very good baseball program, Vanderbilt as well. If you all have any questions real quick, I'm in my final minutes of this YouTube presentation. I wanted to get this out here. I wanted to come direct to you and give you an opportunity. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Griffith 32. And things get spicy. I don't know why, but the fans, they just come at me on Twitter. And sometimes I respond. I know I should just ignore, but if I think they're wrong, I have to tell them that. Like the Kentucky fans that said that Georgia wasn't going to be. I mean, I can't let a Kentucky. I mean, I need to help you. I'm going to help you help yourself. I'm going to let you know. What other questions do you have for me? Kirby Dogs do have the nastiest defense Saban's seen in his life. Johnny Lester. I'll go back to, what was it, 2011 LSU with John Chavis was awful nasty, but this defense has a chance to be really good. I think it was it 11 or was it 10? I think it was 11 when LSU and Alabama played twice, right? So I'm going to cut this off for now. Tim Harrell, thank you for the compliment. Hey, everybody, make sure you've got our Dog Nation app on your phone. You'll be able to keep up with all the news because when we write it, we push it out there. It could be the middle of the day. It could be late at night. But if you've got that app, you won't miss anything, and that is the way to go. Follow me on Twitter at MikeGriffith32. Make sure you download the Dog Nation app. And, man, I appreciate the compliments. If you got any more questions, throw them down in here. I will come back and answer them later, and you can check me out on the Dog Nation Facebook page as well. Everybody, have a great Tuesday. Thanks for joining me today.